Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you guys how to deploy the adversary lab in under an hour so that you can attack and defend in Azure. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to pull up our GitHub page. It'll include the adversary lab content and code. And if you have not set up a Azure free subscription, what I recommend you do is to go to this specific webpage. I'll include the webpage in the links below where you can basically try Azure for free. I'll let you go ahead and basically set this up. But once you have your Azure tenant enabled, you'll go ahead and basically come back here and we'll scroll down to the prerequisites of what we need in order to deploy the actual environment. The first thing we need to do is to go ahead and open up PowerShell. So we'll go down to our search bar here and we'll open up PowerShell. So I'm using one of my development boxes in order to deploy this. So what we'll go ahead and do is copy this command. This is going to run PowerShell 7. PowerShell 5 comes native, so I recommend that you run 7 just for compatibility with the scripts. We'll go ahead and run winget install Microsoft PowerShell. Winget is the package manager that you use in order to deploy packages within Windows. We'll go ahead and hit enter. And obviously this is already installed, but it would basically go through an install process. So what we'll go ahead and do is install the AZ modules. We'll open up a new tab here. Go ahead and install the modules. And then to also move this along, we'll go ahead and install VS Code by opening up another shell. And then we'll also open up another shell to get Git. And last but not least, we'll install Bicep. All right, so we'll go ahead and take a look at these. So it looks like the modules are still running, but we basically confirmed that Microsoft Visual Studio Code's installed and that Git is also installed. All right, and last but not least, Bicep is installed. So we'll go ahead and wait for the AZ modules to be installed, and I'll come back once this is completed. All right, so with that, what we'll go ahead and do is move to our next step, which is the quick start section. We'll go ahead and just copy these commands. Very simple. Go ahead and click paste anyways, it's no big deal. I'm gonna clone the repository into a projects folder that we created, and then we're gonna go ahead and cd into adversary lab where the code is. Then we'll run an ls. ls basically lists the files in the directory, and as you can see, we basically have all of this. So one thing that we need to do is we need to run this in PowerShell 7. We basically verified that everything was installed. So we'll go ahead and close this out, close all tabs. All right, so now we'll go ahead and open up PowerShell 7. So we'll go down to search, type pwsh, go ahead and hit PowerShell 7. Go ahead and cd into projects adversary lab, do an ls, and then we'll go ahead and, as you can see here, we have the deploy script there. So we'll go ahead and run that with tab completion. Go ahead and hit enter. As you can see here, that wants you to enter a resource group name, which it gives you a default name. For the sake of this video, we'll call it adversary lab rg-subscribe. We'll stick with the default region, but you can add whichever region you want or what's closest to you. And then we need to go ahead and get the subscription ID that we want this to be deployed in. We'll go ahead and go into subscriptions and then pull the subscription ID here. All right, and then VM administrator username, you can name this whatever you want. Just make sure you don't use common names. This is probably a common name, but this is a box that I'm basically going to spin up and remove shortly. So go ahead and enter adversary. It says generate a password automatically. I recommend this, or you can set your own password. But for this, we'll go ahead and hit Y for yes to set the password. What it does is it also does a call to determine what IP you have and where you're coming from, just so that the network security group has that added so that you're able to access it, so that you're not sitting there unable to reach the VM. Here it wants to confirm, so we'll confirm by hitting yes. And enable email notifications for VM shutdown and billing alarms. So the lab includes a option to have the VM shut down at 23:30. You can change that within the portal, as well as a billing alarm, which it'll alert you whenever your bill goes over $50. So obviously we want to ensure that your bill stays as cost effective as possible in the lab to make this more accessible to everybody. So go ahead and click yes for this. The email address, we'll just use one of my emails, tenant@purpleshellsecurity.com. Right, as you can see here, the configuration summary, there's a resource group, adversary lab RG, subscribe, location East US, and the admin username, VM size, IP, and wants to confirm if you want to proceed with deployment, which we do. So we'll go ahead and click yes. And here we go with the actual deployment. And I'll come back once this has been completed. All right, and welcome back. We've successfully deployed the adversary lab resource group. And then as you can see here, we have the specific VM name, VM public IP, log analytics workspace, the VNet flow logs and the activity logs being enabled, and also the credential files with some additional useful links. All right, so what we'll go ahead and need to do is we need to log into the actual box, as we need to install some red and blue team tools. What we'll go ahead and do is we'll cat the credentials text file. And just a heads up, I will be deleting these resources, so this will not work. Go ahead and run this command that will basically RDP into the box. Go ahead and use our adversary username and our admin password here. Go ahead and accept the certificate. All right, now that we're logged into the box, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and set this up. There's a couple things that we'll need to do first, so go ahead and open PowerShell. All right, so PowerShell is open. We'll go ahead and go back to our notes section. We need to go ahead and install the PowerShell 7 on the box. And we also need to install Git. Go ahead and open up tab and do that here. All right, as you can see, PowerShell 7 was installed and Git was installed as well. What we'll go ahead and do is open up another tab here. Go ahead and copy the instructions here to download the code. Paste anyway. Running the project, and we'll CD into that and just verify the code's there. As you can see, everything's there. We'll go ahead and close out of this. Let everything refresh, and then we'll go down to our search bar, type pwsh as we've done before, and it'll open up a PowerShell 7 terminal. All right, and what we'll do is CD into the adversary lab folder. All right, what we'll go ahead and do is CD into scripts, ls on those scripts. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we'll start with the blue team tools. Here it's basically going to confirm that you have administrative privileges, since you need that in order to install the tools. Additionally, you have sysmon and PowerShell script block and module logging, and additional security audit policies. Go ahead and confirm yes to make the installation. So here it's going to download sysmon and make the configurations and install everything. We'll go ahead and check to see if the logs are flowing. All right, so it looks like there was an error here. So there is sometimes an issue with the script. So I usually run it twice. As you can see, it started. Go ahead and copy this. As you can see, the sysmon logs are flowing, and we can see the PowerShell ones. So we have all of our logging set up. So then what we're going to do is clear the screen. So we'll go ahead and ls and do the install red team. All right, so one thing just to note here, we basically create an exception in the Defender for this folder, just so that files and whatnot don't get deleted. It also includes some offensive security tools that include Azure Hound and Road tools. We modify the PowerShell profile just to make it easier to use. We also install Chocolatey, Go, and other various tools that you can use. You can also attempt to install this on a local box if you want to try it out. Feel free to let me know how it goes, since this is basically tested within a PowerShell 7 instance running on a Windows 11 box. So what we'll go ahead and do is go ahead and click yes to have it install. All right, and this will take a bit, so we'll come back once it's completed. As you can see, we've downloaded the Red Team tools that include AAD internals, Road Recon, Azure Hound, and many more. So one last thing that we need to do for the logs is to go ahead and open Edge. We want to generate some traffic for the VNet flow log, so we'll go ahead and open up Internet Explorer, which is now Edge. And I'm just going to basically put a couple of web pages in here. Facebook.com, Google.com, last but not least, YouTube.com. All right, so we generate some traffic on the VM, which will help us to generate the flow logs. So then our next step, we'll go ahead and go to resource groups and go to Adversary Lab RG subscribe. And we'll go to the law, which is our log analytics workspace. And we'll go to logs. And next out of this, we'll move to KQL mode. All right, let's confirm the logs within the log analytics workspace. What we'll go ahead and do is pull our queries from the README and paste them here. Here we'll check for the management events by selecting that and running it. So as you can see, the logs are flowing to the log analytics workspace. We'll confirm that the PowerShell logs are logging by running this command. And then here we'll check the sysmon events. So as you can see, the PowerShell as well as the sysmon events are flowing. Just a heads up, the audit logs for Entra ID will trigger if you create any specific Entra related activities, and the flow logs will usually take about an hour to populate. One way that I usually check just to make sure that everything is good is I go to the resource group and I go to the actual storage account that it created for this. Go to Insights Logs Flow event, click on this, and so it's generating events. Got hour 1 and hour 2 already, so we'll just click on hour 1. Shows the MAC address, and here's the JSON file, which you can open up and you can download. This will open up in VS Code. Go to View and hit Word Wrap. And as you can see, there's tons of IP address, net flow related information here. And this basically goes on for a while. So it does take some time for the net flow to occur, but as you can tell here, the data is there. It just has not gotten over and ingested into the log analytics workspace. It does take some time, but it will be there. And I typically see it within about an hour. All right, we've successfully deployed the Adversary Lab within your Azure tenant. I want to thank you for watching this video. And if you're interested in learning more about threat-informed defense, feel free to join my school community, the Adversary Lab, link in the description below, and hope to see you in the next video.